Carter family had always been the talk of the town. Their mansion, perched high on the hills of New York, looked down on the city like a crown of wealth and power. Henry Carter, the patriarch, had built an empire of real estate and investments that made him one of the most influential men in the state. But behind the golden gates and lavish lifestyle, tensions simmered among his children. Michael, the eldest son, believed he was the rightful heir to everything. Olivia, the daughter, thought she was smarter and more deserving than anyone else. Daniel, the quiet youngest brother, had always been overlooked, treated as though he was never good enough. The Carter mansion looked perfect from the outside, but the foundation was already cracking. And with Henry's health failing, everyone knew change was coming. The day Henry Carter died, the entire city's eyes turned to the family. At the reading of the will, the Grand Law Office was filled with tension so thick it could be cut with a knife. The lawyer cleared his throat and began. To my eldest son, Michael Carter, I leave the Midtown estates. To my daughter, Olivia Carter, I leave the luxury penthouses. And to my youngest son, Daniel Carter. Everyone leaned forward. Daniel's eyes widened with hope, but the words that followed cut deeper than a knife. To Daniel, I leave nothing but the responsibility of preserving the Carter family legacy. I trust him to support his siblings in keeping our name strong. Silence fell. Michael smirked. Olivia's lips curled into a satisfied smile. Daniel sat frozen, betrayed, humiliated, forgotten. The weeks that followed, the Carter family bond shattered completely. Michael and Olivia began taking control of their new properties, throwing parties, making business deals, and showing off their inheritance to the world. Daniel, however, fell into silence. Friends who once admired the Carter name whispered about the betrayal. Why did Henry leave him nothing? They asked. Rumors spread that Daniel was weak, unworthy, a shadow in his own family. Michael mocked him openly. Olivia treated him like a servant. And every day, Daniel's anger grew, hidden behind his calm smile. But deep inside, a storm was forming, a storm of revenge. Daniel had always been quiet, but now his silence was dangerous. He started spending long nights in his study, digging through his father's old documents, secret accounts, and letters no one knew existed. One night, he found something shocking: hidden transactions, secret properties, and evidence of corruption that Michael and Olivia were trying to cover up. Henry hadn't left Daniel with money. He had left him with power. The kind of power that could destroy everything his siblings had stolen. Daniel's lips curled into a smile for the first time in months. They thought he was weak. They thought he was finished. But they had no idea what was coming. Michael and Olivia's greed only grew. They pushed Daniel further out of the family, cutting him off from meetings, events, and even his place in the mansion. You don't belong here anymore, Michael sneered one night at dinner. You're nothing without us. Olivia leaned in closer. Maybe you should just leave, Daniel. Disappear quietly. Daniel lowered his gaze, hiding the fire in his eyes. In that moment, he made a silent vow. He would not only take back what was his, he would make them pay for every insult, every betrayal, every moment they made him feel invisible. And so, Daniel's revenge began in shadows. As the Carter Empire started to unravel from within, Daniel's nights were filled with whispers of strategy. He contacted old associates of his father, people Michael and Olivia had ignored. Slowly, he pieced together allies in secret. A retired lawyer who owed Henry a favor, a banker who knew of hidden accounts, and an old housekeeper who had seen too much of Michael's arrogance. Meanwhile, Michael's businesses began to face small accidents. Deals fell through. Investors pulled out. Olivia's penthouses faced lawsuits for safety violations. The siblings blamed bad luck. But Daniel knew better. It was his quiet hand guiding their downfall. For the first time, Daniel felt alive. His revenge had begun to take form. One morning, newspapers splashed with headlines. Carter Empire faces corruption allegations. Evidence had surfaced, documents exposing shady deals, unpaid taxes, and bribes connected to Michael and Olivia. Both were summoned to court. The siblings were furious, accusing each other of betrayal, while Daniel remained in the shadows, silently feeding the fire. The public, once dazzled by the Carter family's wealth, now turned against them. protesters gathered outside their properties. Social media exploded with hashtags mocking their downfall. And Daniel? He watched it all unfold with cold satisfaction. Olivia, once graceful and composed, began to crumble under the pressure. Her parties stopped. Friends abandoned her. Late at night, she would sit alone in her penthouse, drinking away her fear, whispering to herself that she was still in control. But the worst came when she discovered Daniel's hand in it all. "You," she gasped when she confronted him one night. "It's you. You've been behind this." Daniel didn't deny it. He leaned closer and whispered, "You took everything from me, Olivia. Now I'm taking it back, piece by piece." Tears filled her eyes, but Daniel felt no sympathy. Revenge had turned his heart to stone. The court case reached its peak. Michael, arrogant as ever, tried to fight back, but his empire collapsed under the weight of evidence. Olivia begged for leniency, but the law showed no mercy. In a final confrontation at the Carter mansion, the three siblings stood face to face. "You destroyed us, Daniel." Michael shouted. "No," Daniel replied calmly. "You destroyed yourselves. I just gave you the push." Olivia broke down, sobbing. Michael tried to attack Daniel, but security held him back. For the first time, Daniel stood taller than both of them, no longer the forgotten brother, but the victor of the Carter legacy. Months later, the Carter name was spoken of not with admiration, but as a cautionary tale of greed and betrayal. Michael and Olivia disappeared from the spotlight. Their fortunes gone, their reputations ruined. Daniel, however, rebuilt quietly. He restored the family estate, not for luxury, but as a symbol of survival. He funded charities, supported those his father had once ignored, and turned the Carter name into something meaningful again. But deep inside, Daniel carried the scars of his revenge. He had won, but at what cost? His siblings were broken, his family torn apart forever. Standing at his father's grave, Daniel whispered, "You left me nothing, Father. But in the end, I took everything." The wind rustled through the trees, carrying the silence of a legacy rewritten in blood, betrayal, and revenge.